Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is my fourth WAD progression update, and this comes just after I've completed Sigil and just before I'm going to take on Moonblood. So I just want to quickly give some highlights and talk through Sigil. I found Sigil to be a great WAD. I really did enjoy it, but it was definitely very frustrating at times. It only has 9 maps in the WAD, and many times I was very grateful there were only 9. I think that the maps themselves are quite short and quite punchy. The enemy counts were relatively well managed. They're quite low. So they were quite punchy levels. They're more focused on routing, fighting enemies on many levels. So lots of platforms and ledges and sniping imps from different heights and so on. And lots of very specific awkward enemy encounters. So being forced into very small spaces with a number of kind of high health enemies or a cyber demon or something of that type. So I found it quite tough at times. I definitely churned through it and got lots and lots of deaths on some of these maps. Most of those were kind of attritional over the level where, just losing small amounts of health regularly just meant that by the time I was getting to the later stages of the level, I was running out of health, I was running out of ammo, and I was just coming apart and kind of struggled to make it through. So I had lots of deaths of that type, but not necessarily at specific places, just attritional losses taking me down by the time I got towards the end. It was by far the toughest map set I've taken on so far, so much tougher than Fava Beans and base Ganymede. And I think a lot of that was probably driven by the fact that I prefer a pistol start, so I completed all of this as a pistol starter. And I just felt at times like, although I was able to complete it, so it's definitely possible, the WAD didn't feel that well balanced for pistol starting, where I was always fighting against that really heavily, lacking ammo or lacking the weapons I needed to get through the level. And that was particularly noticeable where I needed to get the secrets. So without the secret weapons and ammo caches that were there, I think it's inconceivable that I could have made it through. So I've basically enjoyed it, but I'm very glad to be through it and to have that complete and to be able to move on. In terms of my skill progression, I thought a big area for me was my situational awareness. So there are quite a lot of encounters within this map set where, you've got cacos descending on your heads, you've got lost souls coming out of nowhere and tagging you in the back when you're not looking. You've got lots of little connected spaces and kind of enemies coming out and pouring in from different angles and shooting from different places. Lots of enemies that are hidden or caged but can still fight you and, kind of hit scan you or send projectiles at you. So I find myself kind of being much more aware of the environment I was in, how to manage that, control it, how to find safe spaces, how to maneuver around those areas where I'm being attacked, on many occasions kind of from multiple sides at the same time. And I felt all of that kind of helped me a lot to kind of increase my situational awareness and understand how to manage encounters of that type. Also, just very specific tough encounters like close quarter combat with cyber demons and lots of barons in a small space, things of that type. Really tough fights. I find myself much more capable of kind of working my way through those, and really enjoyed kind of thinking through the strategies for how do I need to approach this? When I get to this stage, what do I need to have? Where do I need to be? What's my health need to be? What weapons and things do I need to pick up before I get here? How should I use my ammo to make sure I'm at kind of I'm at my peak by the time I get to the most difficult part of the level? And I really enjoyed that. And then when you're in that part of the level, how do I deal with the design around this area, the mechanics of this area, in order to increase my likelihood of making it through alive. So I really enjoyed those parts of it. So it's really good fun, but probably overall, maybe just for my personal preferences, maybe a little bit too much nukage, a little bit too much lost souls, and not enough chain guns. And then overall, in terms of the highlights for it, 3 big highlights for me: E5 M4 Paths of Wretchedness. I really churned this one. It's a really interesting map. There are 3 utterly miserable routes through. You've got to go through one side the like horrible crushers, another side ledges and barrens and things, and another side going through the nukage. And if you get through all of that and get to the end, then you get a whole load of barrens and cacos as a reward. So if you can make it through, it's really good. E5 M5 Abaddon's Void. Really enjoyed, telefragging the cyber demons. Who doesn't love doing that? Lots of dark ledges, dark spaces, dark caverns. Always kind of being aware of your ammo. Always being aware of the kind of health that you cannot restore, that's slowly being chipped away as you move around. And just working through that whole level was just really enjoyable. And then E5 M7. Nightmare Underworld. It's a long level. It's definitely a long level, but I really enjoyed particularly that outside area where we had the raised walkway with all the enemies on it, and then you've got the really, really nice mechanics around the 3 towers. Each time you leave a tower, you get teleported to an area, and you've got to clear all the fights in that area, and then it teleports you back. You do the next tower, and then it takes you to the end once you've completed all 3. Really, really enjoyed that. After that, I didn't enjoy it quite so much. There was some really precarious kind of ledge climbing to do while you're being targeted by cacos, and you've got lost souls and things like that, like just pinning you all the time. It's really, really tough. And then if you make it through all that, you've got some cacos and some barons to deal with. So with all of those, I enjoyed it. I think the biggest enjoyment was just the satisfaction of completing them from a pistol start. They were very, very tough levels. They were very sloggy, but like, wow, the emotions of completing it successfully were just kind of overwhelming. So I really, really, really enjoyed that. So this is my standard snapshot that tracks my progress as I work through all of these different WADs, and you can see that it's been updated. So we've got a tick mark now against Sigil, indicating that that WAD has now been completed. We've got the target or bullseye against Moonblood, indicating that that is the current WAD that I'm working through right now. And we've got a question mark against Memento Mori, indicating that once Moonblood is complete, I'm expecting this will be the WAD that I take on after that. So really, really looking forward to taking on Moonblood. It's my first Doom II compatible WAD that I'm taking on, so it'll reunite me with my favorite super shotgun. So let's just jump to the DoomWiki and have a quick look at this. So Moonblood is a megawad released by Thomas Sares in 2017. It's a boom compatible megawad, and you can see here it's got 32 levels in it. The episode structure is a little unusual. It's got 6 episodes, and then it's got a couple of secret maps at the end. So if I jump to my ugly Excel sheet, you'll see our updates here. We've completed Sigil, so if I scroll down, all of this section here is for the Moonblood playthrough. So quite a lot of work to do in this one. Standard layout here, we've got the WAD details on this side, the software and settings here, and the channel tracking on this side. You can see that I've just started playing through some of the initial levels, but a couple of things just to keep an eye on here, a couple of interesting facts. When we look at the average monster counts in this, we're seeing that we've got maybe somewhere around 90 or 100 enemies per map. That's a little bit more than Sigil and a little less than base Ganymede, so it's somewhere in there. But having gone through all of these, it's very interesting to see the different kind of distribution of different types of enemies that you have. So the early maps are, skewed towards the lower health enemies like zombie men and things like that. And then the later maps, as you work your way through the WAD, are getting, barons and arachnotrons and cyber demons and so on. So it'll be very interesting to work through. Got a good number of secrets as well we're going to need to find. So that's what the WAD details look like. In terms of the software and settings, a couple of things to be aware of. This is now a Doom II megawad. So we've got the Doom II engine here, Hell on Earth version 1.9. And also for PR Boom Plus, we're using comp level 9 because this is a boom compatible megawad. So just a couple of things to be aware of there. And then as I say, I'm working through these and I'll upload the videos as I progress through. As always, the videos will have the kind of standard looking thumbnail so you can identify it as one of mine. At the top here, we will have the WAD name, so that's Moonblood. We will have the map ID and we will have the map name. And then over on the other side, we will have the Moonblood emblem just to kind of quickly identify it as being part of this series. So that's it for me. Thanks very much for listening, and I will talk to you in the next one.